Hey guys, it's Carl Brown for GuitarLessons365.com. Today we're going to finish our look at the epic Freebird solo. So this is kind of like the last 2 minutes of it. It's I think this starts around the 6-minute 57-second mark and it goes throughout the song until it starts fading out. All right, so we got a lot to look at here, but there's a lot of licks that we've already seen earlier in the solo. So if you've been following along, this one hopefully won't take too long to do. So we'll start here. We have these unison bends here at the 15th fret on the high E and the 18th fret on the B. So you pick that a few times, a few unison bends, and pick it again and bring it back down. So you're still picking those two strings, but there's no bends. Then to 15 across both strings. Then you go into another bend here, another unison bend. It's going to be the 17th fret on the G string with the 15th fret on the B together. Bring it back down, pick 17 and 15 together, and then 15 on both strings. So it's just on the B and G. So here we go. All right, now we have this next phrase. All right, so we've seen something similar to that, but we're going to start here with a couple of, it's the same phrase. You're holding the 17th on the D string, and you're borrowing your first finger across the G and the D string at the 15th fret. So you're going to hit those two middle strings, the D and the G. It's like, so it's a quick little rhythm there. And then on the last one, you're going to pull off to that 15 on the D. To the 15 on the G, and then back to the chorus with this. All right, so that's basically done twice. And then we do that same lick that we've done earlier in the song. Same thing without that little chord in there. So it's just pulling off 17 to 15 on the D, over to 17 on the A, over to 15 on the G, and back to this 17 here on the D. So you do that 4 times, and then you go into that same lick we did earlier. All right, so that's done 7 times. That's that bend to the 17 and then pull off 17 to 15 on the G, then 17, 15 on the D. Then you can do that 17th fret bend, pick it a few times, and you grab that 18 on the B string there, and release that bend, and then you just kind of descend 17, 15 to 17 on D, back to that 15, then into that 17, and then we're back down to this. So we basically all right, so we just started it the same way we did before. Starting in that 14 to this 12 on the G. And that was a bend at the 14. Then 12, 14, 12 to 14 on the D. Then back to 12, 14, 12 on the G. Back to 14 on the D. Back to that 12. So it's just basically going up and down through those 3 notes. Might be easier just to follow it slowly like that. Then it starts the melody again. Then we have this little fill. So that's a little bit easier. The bend at the 14, grab that 15 on the B string while you're doing it. Release that bend. And that's just 12, 14. 12, 14 on the G string done a few times. And then end it with 12 on the G to 14 on the D. All right, and then we start getting to this next section, which sounds like this. All right, so this is obviously really kind of building up to the climactic part of the solo here. So we start with that same melody we did before. That's 14 to 12 on the G, pull off 14 to 12, back to that 14 on D and start over. And we get into this oblique bend here that we've done quite a bit in this song already. Bending at the 14 on the G, and when you get to the top of that bend, grab the 15 on the B string. So they're just gonna ring together. It kind of has that kind of train effect to it. So we have this. All right, now I'm gonna try to keep this note going for a long time. Like we said, what we're doing before, we're combining a lot of those harmony parts. So we're trying to do the one that is the most up front in the mix at all times. So you can kind of recreate the solo with one guitar as the best we can. But there's really like 3 guitars here, so there's a lot going on at the same time. So we have basically, you're going to be strumming this 12 on the G and 15 on the B. So we have this. So I did the strumming those 2 notes over to 12 on the D and back to those 2 notes. Then we have our first fill, which is a pull off 14 to 12 to 14 on the D. Back to the 2 notes. And the next fill is going to be hammer 12 to 14 on the D, 12 to 14 on the G. So we have this all together. And then you get to those unison, those oblique bends again. So all together. Now the second, this whole time through the chord progression each, we just do this. And then repeat that. So that's through the chord progression again. So it's just that 14 on the D to those two notes, and do that again. And then the oblique bends, just repeat it for the rest of the time through that 3 chord. And then we'll start over here. So with this. Again. Alright, so he's trying to create a chaotic sound. That's why it'll sound, especially kind of a cappella here, kind of, whoa, really in your face. But then after that, you're going to move it up the oblique bends to the 17th fret on bend on the G, to the 18 on the B. Repeat those. And you start getting more erratic with the bending, make them a lot more kind of adding a lot of vibrato to it. Doesn't necessarily have to be in pitch. It's just kind of trying to create this chaotic sound. Then we do the same thing off the 18th fret bend on the B, catching the 18 on the high E. Alright, and then we're all the way up here to the 22nd fret, which is why I'm using a different guitar this time, because my Strat doesn't have 22 frets. We're going to start with a 22nd fret on the high E string, and then a 22nd fret bend on the B string, and back and forth between those two. But what he starts to do, about halfway through the chord progression, does the bend, and does a down-up on the high E's 22nd fret. Now, then it plays the chord progression again. You continue holding the bend now, and that 22nd fret, and just create as much noise as you can on those two strings. Just basically for one whole group through the chord progression, you're really just holding instead of doing the bend, you just hold it and just strum those two strings, or hit one string and then the top string a couple of times. Just really try to create a lot of noise. And then it settles down into another melodic phrase again. It sounds like this. All right, so he's really kind of digging in on these notes. It starts really cool. It starts with this quick slide on the G string up to the 19th fret. And then you catch the 15th fret with a slight bend over to the 17 on the D. Then 15 on the G, back to 17. And then a slight bend at the 17th fret on the G. So this note and this 17th fret are really kind of held a little longer. The rest of them are pretty much just eighth notes. So it's kind of that kind of feel for most of this, but you'll hear a couple of those notes that are held out. All right, so go for that kind of sound. But so the notes after that slide, 15 to 17 held on the D string, then 15 on the G, 15 on the D, slight bend to the 17th fret on the G string, then straight 18th notes, 15, 17 to 17 on the D. So far? All right, then we're going to go 15, 17, 15 to 17 on the D. Now that you're going to have some notes that are slightly kind of, we'll just put a slight bend up. Now to get this exactly right would be, you know, almost impossible. You just want to accent certain notes. That's how you really want to think about it. And he's really just messing around with the 17 on the G, 15 on the G, and the 17 on the D. So without overcomplicating it, just do something like that. After the initial, and then you're going to end it with the 17th fret on the D string. And in between the opening melody, then you can do whatever you want. All right, and then we get to that familiar lick we did in the last video. Not for quite as long, just one time through the chord progression. That's sliding into the 16th fret. Then 15 on the high E, pull off 18 to 15 on the B, to 17 on the G string, and then just repeat it. All right, then we get to some bends again that are pretty much just like we started this video segment. That part of the solo that started at the 6-minute 57-second mark. Sounds like this. So that's the same thing there, and then back to the single note version of it. So that's just like we did it at the beginning of this video. And then the song starts to fade out. We have a few more things that we can talk about here. So it's going to be kind of that for the rest of the time. So we're just doing that same melody that we've done before, but now this time, second time through, I want you to pull off 15 to 12 to 15 on the D, and back to that 12 on the G. So we have this. As you're holding that 12, now you're going to do a little triplet lick, which is pulling off 15 to 12 and playing 15 on the D string 3 times in a row. Then doing a whole step bend at the 15th fret on the G. So all together. And then kind of start over. From there, you just kind of do your own thing, and because it's fading out anyway, you can't really hear the guitar parts, and you're gonna have to end it sometime. So just kind of just play the same scales that he was doing, and just kind of find an ending, and you're good to go. You can keep going like they do live for about another 5 minutes. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.